Gaming has never been bigger. The global games industry generated more than $200 billion in 2025, and in 2026, continuing that growth. PC gaming is expanding particularly quickly, with forecasts suggesting it could actually overtake console gaming in revenue by 2028. So, if gaming is booming, why does the industry sometimes feel like it's in crisis? Because there is a big difference between the gaming industry making more money and game developers having an easier time making games. Over the last few years, we've seen enormous layoffs, studio closures, and cancelled projects. And that's partly because modern games have become incredibly expensive to produce. AAA games can now take hundreds of millions of dollars and years of development. That creates a strange situation. Publishers need games to become massive hits just to justify the investment, and that encourages safer business models. Sequels, remakes, open world games, live service games, microtransactions, and subscription services. But players don't necessarily want games designed around extracting more money from them, and that's where the future of gaming comes in. The technology is changing the economics. Artificial intelligence is probably the biggest example. AI can potentially help developers with coding, animation, testing, asset creation, and other repetitive tasks. A 2026 developer survey found that AI is expected to be one of the most influential technologies affecting game development over the next few years. If that technology genuinely reduces development time and costs, it could be revolutionary. A small studio might eventually be able to create something that previously required a team of hundreds. But if AI makes creating games dramatically easier, we could also end up with far more games competing for our attention. And we're already struggling with discoverability. The problem of the future might not be can we make enough games? But it might be, how do you get people to notice yours? And that's why I think the next big competitive advantage won't necessarily be graphics. It will be ideas, communities, and identity. We've already seen small and relatively inexpensive games explode through social media and word of mouth. A game doesn't necessarily need a 200 million budget to become culturally relevant. And then there's another part of gaming that's becoming increasingly important: competition. Esports has developed into a genuinely global entertainment industry. The 2026 Esports World Cup alone has a prize pool of $75 million, spread across 25 events. And that tells us something important. Games aren't just products, they're also sports, entertainment platforms, and social spaces. A game can generate money not only when somebody buys it, but when millions of people watch it, stream it, create content around it, and compete in it. And technology is pushing this even further. Better GPUs, advanced rendering, increasingly sophisticated game engines, AI-assisted development, and powerful handheld PCs are gradually blurring the boundaries between console, PC, and mobile gaming. The future might be less about which box you own and more about where you happen to be playing. Your game could follow you from your PC to your console, to handheld, to the cloud, but there is one major question that remains. Who actually benefits? If technology makes games cheaper to produce, does that mean developers get better working conditions? Or does it mean publishers simply expect them to produce more games with fewer people? If games become enormous live service platforms, do players get richer experiences? Or are they spending more time inside systems designed around monetization? And if AI can create almost unlimited content, does gaming become more creative, or does it become flooded with generic content? I think the answer is going to depend on what players reward. Because despite all the economic problems, gaming has something that almost every other entertainment industry would love to have. People still absolutely love playing games. The challenge is figuring out how to build an industry where the people making those games can actually survive. So the future of gaming probably isn't going to be defined by one technology, in my opinion, one console or one business model or one way of producing content. It's going to be defined by a battle between scale and creativity, technology and human talent, monetization and player trust. And if the industry gets that balance right, I think the next decade is going to be great. The next decade of gaming could be the most exciting one yet. But if it doesn't, we might end up with an industry that's bigger than ever while becoming much harder to actually build games in. And I think that's the real story of gaming in 2026.